Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCard Designs. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. Today's video of a monthly series of product inspiration using products from the Glitter and Ink Craft Store in Belleville, Ontario. The website and information for the store is listed in the description down below, along with all of the products that I use in today's video. Okay, so let's start with today's crafty project. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some projects with the Concord and 9th Sunshine Turnabout background stamp. I'm going to show you how to create the key for the Turnabout and how to use this Turnabout stamp. So on the back of the packaging here, it shows you what happens when you stamp the image 1, 2, 3, and 4 times. So you get this beautiful sort of starburst background, and you also get a key on the back of the packaging, and we're going to use that today in the video so that we can line this background stamp up. Now I've gone ahead and cut this out already. I've tested it out and tried it to make sure everything works good. So I cut this right out of the back of the packaging. And now I took a piece of cardstock that measures 6 by 6. So this is a very important step. In order to make sure that your stamps line up, 6 by 6 is a very, very important key number here for Turnabout background stamps. For these large ones anyways. So I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to take a black pen so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to create an X in the very, very dead center of this 6 by 6 panel. So I'll make sure that my lines are diagonally across from one corner to the next. And I made them nice and dark so that you can see. And then I'm going to make the other line to create an X on this cardstock. So what we're going for here is to create the very center of this panel where we're going to line up that little tiny square that we cut out from the back of the packaging. So once I have my X all set, I'm going to take some adhesive and I'm going to adhere this down to the very center of my panel. Now on my little key that came from the back of the stamp set, there's already an X lined up on that piece. So we're just going to line up those X lines on my little square to my 6 by 6 X. Does that make sense? I don't know. I hope so. All right, so here is your key, and this is how we're going to line up the stamp. Now you can laminate this if you like so that you can have it for future projects. So I'm going to grab my MISTI. And I want to put a little bit of repositionable adhesive on my MISTI mouse pad so that when I put my stamp in, it won't shift around. Now I noticed my mouse pad was shifting around, so I went ahead and grabbed a little bit of washi tape, and I'm going to stick that down. I'll lift out my MISTI mouse pad and put that washi tape right in my MISTI, and then put my mouse pad over top, and that'll stop my mouse pad from shifting around. Because it's very important for the lining up of this stamp that we get everything in the right spot. Okay, so now I'll stick my 6 by 6 panel and put that inside of the MISTI, right in the corner, making sure that it's adhered down. And then I'm going to carefully peel off this large burst image off of my stamp set. I want to make sure that I don't stretch anything out. So I'll gently peel that away. And then with the stamp side facing down, I'm going to begin to line this up over the key. So I'll just figure out the orientation of the stamp. And my goal here is to make sure that my stamp sort of lands right over top of that little black key there. So, I mean, it's quite simple to line up. When you look at it overhead, you can see where it's lined up and where it's not. So for the purposes of this video, I was lining it up sort of on an angle, and I had to tilt it and look at it to make sure. You can get your head right over top to see where it's lined up and where it's not. So you want to make sure that those little black lines follow that stamp as far as they can. And then you'll know that you have your stamp in the right spot. So just gently wiggle everything around, and you'll see here that when it's not lined up, it's very obvious. Okay, so I'll just take my time, make sure that everything is lined up as best as I can. Now this step, it's worth taking the few moments to make sure it's lined up, because if you don't line it up, you won't be happy with the results. And I'll show you an example later on in this video. Okay, so once I am happy with the way this stamp is positioned, I will tilt it and look at it and double check to make sure that I like the way it looks. And then I'm going to close the door of the MISTI and get this stamp picked up onto the door. Okay, so this key, we can put this back into our stamp packaging and save that for the next time we want to line this stamp up. But now that the hard part is done, let's have some fun. Let's stamp this image and see what it looks like. So starting with a piece of 6x6 cardstock, again, this is very important. 6x6 is a very crucial number. You can start with the 6x6 and then cut it down later on to whatever size you want. So I'm just going to grab a few ink cubes here. I have a bunch of All-to-New ink cubes. This is my All-to-New collection. I don't have all of the colors. I have what I need, and I think that's enough. So I picked out 4 colors of the rainbow here, and I'm going to start with the first one. And I'm going to ink up this stamp very good, making sure I get a good transfer of ink. Double check that my cardstock is in the corner, and then I will press all over the stamp and rotate the cardstock 1 turn to the right. And for the moment of truth, we will see if everything is lined up. For my second color, I'm using my green ink cube, and I'll make sure that I get my stamp inked up nice and good. Close the door of the MISTI, stamp that ink, and then let's have a look at what we've got here. So if you'll take a look at the cross section on that stamp, everything is lined up perfectly. And that makes me happy. If you've ever watched any of my videos previously on Concord and 9th, I've had some troubles in the past. Okay, so we're going to pick up the cardstock, rotate my piece of paper 1 turn to the right. So you can turn your cardstock left or right, whatever way works for you, but whatever way you start turning, you have to continue the rotation in that direction. So for me, I'm turning to the right, I'm turning clockwise, and for all 4 of my rotations, I ink up, I pick up the cardstock, I turn to the right, and then ink up again. Now, I do clean my stamps off in between ink colors. I just cut that part out so you don't have to watch me wash my stamp. So for the last rotation, I ink up with my pink ink, and I double stamped a couple of times to make sure that I had a nice clear impression of ink. And there we go. Here's our completed background panel. I really, really like the way this looks. And I'll show you a close-up here. Everything is lined up like perfection in the center of that stamp. That looks amazing. So I have gone ahead and made a pile of backgrounds already. When my Turnabout stamps are lined up on the door of my MISTI, I like to just go to town and have a good time and see what I can come up with. So here's an example of a pattern that's not lined up perfectly, and I mean, it's okay for this stamp set because it's quite forgiving. It's not a big deal for this particular stamp, but other Concord and 9th Turnabout stamps, it's not as forgiving as the Sunshine Turnabout. So if you're new to Turnabout stamps, the Sunshine stamp set is a pretty good place to start. So now I took all of my backgrounds and I cut up some black card bases, and I just had some fun creating some different looks and different panels, chopping up my pieces of cardstock to create a fun bunch of cards. And all these cards need is a sentiment. So I'll keep these in my stash until I'm ready to use them, and I'll have a card ready for whatever occasion I need. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending a little bit of your time with me here today. I appreciate all of the support. You can find this stamp set along with many others at the Glitter and Ink craft store located in Belleville, Ontario. This is a Canadian craft store that carries many of the products from all of the companies that we know and love. You can use my promo code JENNY10 to get 10% off of your order of $50 or more. Some restrictions apply. See in the description down below for more details. So tune in next month for another Glitter and Ink inspiration video. I hope to see you there. Have a lovely day. Bye!